Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about episode 4 of The Wheel of Time season 2. So this review slash discussion will definitely have some spoilers in it. So if you haven't watched the episode, I recommend you go ahead and watch it. You got to experience it for yourself and then come on back and let's discuss. So with that being said, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's begin. All right, so it's no secret that I am totally on board for changes and that I think that the series could use some editing. But I don't think a thing that I've ever really clarified is that the things when I say I think the series could benefit from changes in editing, that mostly has to do with the story itself and pacing. I really like the characters. I think all the characters are pretty much really solid. So this episode here has me feeling like it's kind of rough because it feels like a lot of the characterizations, except for probably Elaine, is kind of off. Like Rand is he's kind of all right. He's pretty, but we barely get any of him, so it's kind of it's hard to really say. But a lot of the characterization just feels off and kind of misplaced, and like some of what's going on feels like it's out of place in the progression of events, so it doesn't really hit the same way that I think it should. So just a lot of this is just, I think I'm starting to get pulled. Well, I don't know. It's a little too soon to say that I'm getting pulled over to the I don't like it camp, but like this one was a little rough for me. So I guess let's start at the White Tower. So because that was like a good solid bit of the episode. So I will say though that the directing continues to be a huge improvement. The set design and the costume design and stuff. I don't think it's ever looked this good. It looks really good. I love the outfits and stuff, especially like the one thing Land was wearing when he's hanging out at Alana's place. Like that, I just like that outfit. It's like has this kind of Indian, kind of Eastern vibe kind of thing, but it's like still kind of original, but it's also like this out of time kind of style thing. I don't know. This show is kind of making me get into a little bit of fashion or something. I don't know, but I did really enjoy that. And like I said, I really like the production design. I like the locations and stuff. I really like that. I think all that has been done really well. Still huge step up from season 1, but some of the other stuff. So this weird so I understand the trauma that Nynaeve is going through because she's essentially lived years in this other life and it's like gotten ripped away from her. So her trauma and stuff makes a lot of sense. It really does. But I still don't quite understand this friction between her and Egwene. It's like she's behaving as though she's still holding on to what she overheard before going into the arches. But for her, that would be years and years ago. At this point, she's in her own mind, at least based on the trauma, she should be more used to the idea of Egwene being an Aes Sedai. So I don't know if the implication is that like when she stayed at the tower, they grew apart, so like they never had a good relationship, even in her alternate reality thing. So it's like it's still awkward, in regular life or whatever. So I don't really understand that because they're playing. It's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to have the fallout from what she overheard, but they're also trying to have her be stuck in this place of trauma because of the arches. And it's like it's not melding well at all for me. So it's kind of making the entirety of the character just like less enjoyable for me right now. It's weird and it feels a little too soon to be doing this hard. And this other thing, so everything else in the White Tower is kind of okay. I dig it. I still really love the Elaine and Egwene dynamic. I think Elaine is the best characterized character. She's the closest to like exactly what I remember from the books, like especially early on and stuff. She has this like awareness of being a daughter heir and like this awareness of her own like level of potential arrogance and stuff like that, but she's like humble about it and straightforward and very genuine. So I just really like the way they're characterizing her a lot. So that's going really well. So the thing that kind of wraps up their plot, well, I guess I'll talk about the Leandrin thing. And apparently I keep getting the names mixed. I keep calling Leandrin Elida in the last video. I didn't even notice that. It'll probably happen more because the La and Elida, Leandrin, like those kind of names are very similar in my own brain. So like, yeah, tongue slippage and all that is probably going to happen. But Elida, no, Leandrin. Yes, Leandrin. Damn, Leandrin. She is so. I'm starting to like her. Like I said before. I think they're giving her a lot more nuance, and she's a lot less mustache twirly kind of villain, like kind of cliche villain, and just like straight up evil. So I really like this. This other layer that they're adding to her. So I don't know if she's going to be that. I can't remember much about the character, but I see it all over Twitter. People were speculating if I think it is Elida. Ironically, that character is the one that should be coming in, and I can't remember too many specifics, but I remember there being a very specifically like kind of evil Aes Sedai potential dark friend person, but she actually wasn't like that kind of like very specific antagonist, and people were speculating whether or not they were just combining her with Leandra. Yeah, now I'm going to second guess it every time. Like whether or not they had just combined the characters into just, this version. And I've seen some stuff on Twitter that implies that this other character is going to show up. So this one is supposed to be just, at least, clearly still some pseudo amalgamation of various character, antagonist character types. So this whole thing where she's having the conversation with Nynaeve, I really, really like that. She had that conversation with Nynaeve in the Arches in that room. I thought that was a great conversation. That was a great bit of character development, and it's always something that I figured Aes Sedai would have to deal with because they're affectionately like vampires. Like everyone they know and love and stuff, they essentially have to watch die because they're functionally ageless. And I love that it's illustrated with us meeting Moraine's little sister, who is like 70 years old, and it's like crazy because that's her little sister. And then we see the old picture of them when they were pretty young, and it's clear that Moraine is at least 10 years older than her sister. But I don't remember in the books her having a sister. Maybe it's in the prequel, but I don't remember too much about the prequel. Maybe I should reread it or something. I don't know, but I don't remember her having a sister. But I also don't remember this conversation they were having. I'm going to jump back to the White Tower stuff in a bit. I just want to say this part. I don't remember the because when she was talking to her sister seems to kind of imply that they had it rough, especially like after Moraine left and went to the White Tower, and how like House Demon Dread. I always just said Demon Dread, but House Demon Dread was like basically made it sound like they were almost financially struggling, like they was hoping she was going to come back and solve all the problems like with the One Power or something and like help them get like it was implying that they were struggling, and I'm like, I thought, aren't y'all a noble house? Wasn't Moraine like in line to be like a queen or something? Like wasn't like I don't understand that. And like now her son, her sister's son, Moraine's sister's son, is going to marry the queen. I wonder if they changed up the noble house dynamic of House Demon Dread, because that doesn't, it's none of that's ringing a bell. Just none of that seems to fit for me. But I like the play on the Leandrin thing where like she's far more understanding, or understandings. She still clearly has layers to her plans and stuff like that. She's still playing 4D chess, but she seems to actually have empathy and sympathy for Nynaeve and stuff. And this is one of the things that like it positions her better than all the other Aes Sedai, because they actually have this conversation in the Arches. She actually like empathizes and like talks to her and like shares some experience and stuff. That's the only acknowledgement we get from anybody about the Arches thing, and we don't even actually get an acknowledgement that it was irregular what happened, because they all said she's dead. Like they all wrote it off, melted the ring, and did all this stuff. Like why didn't we get any reaction from the other ones that was in the room before that basically straight up blamed Leandrin? Like, did they ever apologize? Is it ever discussed that, wow, this is irregular, it's strange, maybe we should look into it, maybe we should think something about it? Like, it's why show it as an irregular thing if nobody's going to even acknowledge it or seem to just, well, whatever, we don't really know how they work, I guess this is a thing that happened. So that's just kind of a weird thing that happened, and I didn't really care for it. So the way the White Tower thing kind of wraps up with the Supergirls kind of leaving, and like Nynaeve isn't accepted, but Egwene and Elaine are still novices. And if I remember correctly, weren't they all like pushed to become accepted really fast so that they could leave the tower, so they could go hunt the Black Aja? Like this seems like you could kind of. It's weird. It's so weird to me. It seems like this is where like the changes are starting to like really kind of throw me off. this seems like a perfect opportunity because they're still in the White Tower and stuff, and Nynaeve just came out of this situation. Why not kind of repair their relationship and make them an official trio so that they can kind of have more like of Trinity kind of thing and paying attention to the manipulations of Leandrin so that like they can be a unit again. Like I just really like it when they're a unit, even though they got a little annoying in the books like as it went on and stuff, but I do like them like as a unit because they all support each other really well. And it's weird that they wouldn't take this time to like fix the Egwene and Nynaeve relationship, let Egwene get to know Elaine instead of straight up just being mean to her and dismissive for no reason, and like use that time while fixing those dynamics to push Elaine and Egwene through the arches so that they can become accepted, and then you can have like this association with what's going on in Falma or something. Be like, you could even just have like Elida send them out on to to go after the Black Alger or something. Like even though I think that was like it was Swan who did it or something. Like just there's a lot of the way it's handled just feels just I don't know lazy, just not well done. I guess just not well done. The so them kind of leaving the tower. It does. Maybe they're not going to leave the tower because for whatever reason, Leandrin finds them as they're trying to like sneak out, and she attacks them. She blasts them with air and sends them, flying to the wall, and that's kind of where that ends. So I don't know if they are actually leaving the tower yet. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are going to still, do the push the other two through the arches and stuff. But just that whole thing is just like it very hit or miss. Like I said, I love the production value and all that kind of stuff. Like I really love the establishing shot of the White Tower. I think that's really cool. So like that kind of stuff, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the Moran and Lan thing. So I guess this is going to be the breaking of their bond officially because she's stilled. So I guess the bond wouldn't, still be there anyway. Um, I don't I don't like any of it. I don't think I like any of it. Even though I love Alana, I love her. I think she's really really cool, and I love the entire dynamic they show with like who I guess is like her family or her people, her original village or something, because they all seem like a family speculating about her hilarious polyamory and like that kind of stuff. Like I like her. I like that dynamic. That's a really cool like addition. If it's something from the books that I just completely missed and completely forgotten, but it feels like it's brand new and I really like it. I enjoy that. But this like, and there's a part in here where Lan is talking to the one of the other warders and he makes a comparison to the bond as marriage. He says like are any two marriages the same? I mean, it could just be a basic comparison saying like, much like marriage, these bonds and like our connections to our Aes Sedai and stuff is very individualistic, groupings is very individualistic, which is how I'm going to try to take it instead of the way it sounds like comparing it specifically to a marriage. Specifically because the only other warder Aes Sedai dynamic that we see regularly is one where they're a couple, where they're a group, a throuple. And it's just it creates this implication like that's just not the correct dynamic, and I just continue to not enjoy Moraine right now. I don't like her attitude. I mean, she's traumatized, and it feels rude of me to like have a specific opinion of it because like what she's going through, she needs to kind of go through it and stuff. But it's just again, it's making the character incredibly unlikable, and there's this weird sloppy thing that she's doing when she's looking for Rand in her sister city and stuff. She's just like asking people very explicitly, like, what do you think people are going to think when you're an Aes Sedai asking about a man, not asking about a group of people or like just asking about a location or anything. You're asking about a specific man. Isn't that going to make everybody assume automatically because they don't really know what the Aes Sedai do? Like totally, they don't know it's just the Reds or whatever. Like, so wouldn't they just assume he's a male channeler so everybody's hackles will be up and all their suspicions will be up? And then that just doesn't strike me as the way Aes Sedai would go about their business. And she is not doing the talk around stuff much at all. At this point I'm actively like listening for straight up lies because they're not writing in that they mentioned the three oaths and stuff and that they can't lie, but I don't think they're doing it that well because they're straight up implying that Leandrin lied to men, because there's a scene in here where we get a little bit of men, because we get barely a little look at Matt and men when what they're doing, and she's saying that she was told, or I guess she would have been told through implication, but that's still even a lie through implication. Like maybe she supposed like kind of led her to this assumption. I don't know, but I don't think men would be doing this much like duplicitous stuff if she didn't have a more specific kind of concrete guarantee. So I find it very weird that the implication that she can make her visions go away is why she's doing that. That means that she lied. So I don't like that at all, and I don't like this men being, duplicitous at all, especially specifically to one of Rand's best friends, considering what's supposed to happen. So I just don't care for that at all. Like I just don't. Um, what else happened in the episode? Because this is just a full ramble discussion. What else happened? So, oh yes, the thing that really got me. I think. Wait, what else do I want to cover before talking about that part? Because I want to get back to land fear. Ugh. So, well, okay. So we got Nynaeve anyway. We got the White Tower stuff. All right, I talked about Moraine and Lan and that whole situation, and it's everything about that dynamic I don't really care for. The way, like, I guess they're, I don't know. I guess this is the substitution for giving his bond away. But didn't she like send him on? She basically sent him on Melchior related like tasks. She like sent him to the Borderlands or something like that. Wasn't he just like off for a while and she was off doing other stuff? And then it was like basically when you if you deal with all of that and stuff, then you would end up being bonded to this other woman who Nynaeve forcibly takes the bond from, more or less forcibly takes the bond. Like just the use of the characters are not as well done. It's like these pieces are just all over the chessboard, kind of like this discussion. So all right, so we talked about them. We talked about them. I guess Matt and men. I already talked a little bit about men, but I am continuing to. I continue to enjoy this new Matt. I like the idea that we throw in the dice. We added that, so we get a little bit of foreshadowing for what's going to happen with that. And I really hope we lean into it. And I like the kind of implication that he's like he loses fairly regularly right now. That was kind of in the books. Like he had he had enough of a winning record in the book that he would continue to gamble. But here it's kind of, slightly implied, either because men can, her, whatever. They're doing a lot of weirdness with her visions and stuff. Oh, before I finish off talking about Rand and Lanfear, I want to go back to my favorite characters, who we only get, like, just barely anything of. I love Elias and Perrin. I am liking the fact that they have split off from the other group, and we kind of just get some of that, just get them together. And like kind of implications, some little discussion of his powers and what he is and like that kind of stuff that's going on. I think this is mostly a way to distance themselves from the Shan-Chan stuff going on because none of our characters, apart from one of our characters, get really hyper tied up in that situation, at least, for a little bit. So the idea that they get to go off, have conversations and stuff about this is cool. So I like the explanation of the way they're using the sending ability. So instead of just I really wish though they would have just said that they're sending like scents and images and stuff, and that's what makes up the visions that you're seeing. It's really just a early level interpretation of how it like sends across. Instead, he just straight up says they're sending visions, and like so I still like it, and I like we finally get an official Hopper. But it's kind of hilarious to me because they use like wolf dogs and stuff, and very kind of wolf looking dogs. They're not actual like tamed wolves to my knowledge. They don't look like regular wolves I've seen, but all of them are so small. I mean, I know Marcus is a pretty large guy. He's like quite bigger than Elias too, and in my head, Elias is like just like but like so. It's just kind of a funny thing to like see him finally meet Hopper, and I love the way like it reminds me a bit more of in the book, the way Hopper tells him his name, like because he's kind of trying to express the idea that his name is like the joy, the feeling of hopping, it basically. So he said, "Oh, his name is Hopper," and Elias is like close enough. I really like that dynamic, especially boy and his dog dynamic. Of course, I love it, but so I like the idea that the at least I guess I'm going to headcanon it to being that it's the sense and it's the impressions and stuff that the wolves have that they're just sending it to him and his mind automatically makes it out like interprets it as a vision. That makes the most sense for me in the way that works. But we barely get anything of it. Just like Matt and Men, we barely get only like kind of a scene. But I do like that we're getting a little bit more of it. But so I think my other theory though in terms of Perrin is kind of panning out. I think we're going to use the trauma of him killing his wife to be the thing to help him kind of I don't think we're going to get that axe conversation. I really don't think we're going to get it. I think we're going to get some weird interpretation of the concept, but I think it's going to be all based on the trauma of his wife because he brought up the idea that him and all the wolves see her and see him reliving it every time he dreams it, which is kind of terrible. So it's implying he's unconsciously sending messages to every wolf and every wolf brother around, which has implications for stuff that should happen later, but whatever. So yeah, but like again, we barely get much of it, so there's not even much to go into. But the thing that really got me, so the thing that basically got me to like, I rolled my eyes so hard they could have fell out my head. The land fear thing, right? I like the honestly I like their chemistry. I like the Rand and Lanfair chemistry. Like these two actors like have a lot of chemistry together and they play off each other really well. My issue is Lanfear's characterization is so weird. It's so off. It feels so inaccurate while trying to curve back around to accurate, if that makes any sense. Like the just quite frankly seeing her in anything kind of humble, seeing her like in the I didn't even quite pay attention to the fact that she was the owner of the inn last time and stuff, and like I wasn't really that didn't click to me, but just this like because Lanfear is very much posh. She's very she likes the finer things and she likes to play the game of houses or whatever and like that kind like so it's just kind of weird for her to be like this very humble kind of thing, which is clearly just playing to Rand or whatever, but it's also just very weird. It feels like every single conversation she's reminiscing about Luz Theron to Rand, which is like whatever, but like I can accept that it's kind of a wink at the audience while kind of her explicitly talking to Luz Theron without freaking out Rand. But the thing that just really got me though is the channeling part. I don't understand why. I mean, they kind of wrap it around a little bit, but like so when Rand channels against the Fade that just kind of pops up out of nowhere for no real reason, like just kind of pops up and he burns it, and she like behaves, she's shocked. She's like, "You're a channeler? What do you do? What happened? You didn't tell me, blah blah blah." And like she's basically about to leave. I mean, okay, I'm gonna give my interpretation after I re-describe it, but like she's about to leave and stuff, and like so it's this whole thing to the point where Rand even cries. He says he loves her, and like there's just like she has this very negative reaction to him channeling, and I completely bought the reaction that she was surprised and shocked and everything. So it's just watching that whole thing play out, I'm like, what the hell? Like, you knew? Like, it was kind of even implied in the last episode that that's what you were telling him to do. You were telling him to channel, to allow it to be a part of who he is and stuff. So I was just very confused by that. And then, and then she kind of just, it's like, I don't know. I see one interpretation of it can be that she was essentially manipulating him to make him kind of feel this way so that he would get closer to her because he says that he loves her. And as soon as he says that, she kind of just goes, "Oh, it's all, you like," she kind of immediately gets over the channeling thing and says it's a part of who you are and stuff. And that kind of, like, that feels like a Lanfear manipulation kind of thing, keep him around kind of situation. And then, so as sloppy as that was, I was like, okay. But then they go in the house and they get ready to have sex and she tie him up to the bed and then she just starts channeling on him. Like, I thought she was about to drop a glamour and they were going to change the way she looks. And, because in the book she goes from looking like regular Celine to like Lanfear's normal look, which I guess is just going to be this actress because it's simplest. But I just don't understand it. I don't understand the point. I don't understand the reason. I mean, yes, we needed to get them separated because they're only together for a little bit in the books and stuff, but the separation in the books makes a lot more sense. And it's just strange. It's just strange. It's just strange. And then we get Moraine come in right the hell out of nowhere. No indication she was anywhere on anybody's trail. Why would she know anything about this location? Which I thought was really weird for a second because she mentioned a cabin, but then we only see them sleeping on the cliffside. We never actually go. Well, we go in the cabin when they're in the bed, but that was just weird, like just weird choices. There was also just weird editing in a lot of places. There were discontinuity in conversations, like when they were on the cliff initially talking Rand and Lanfear. There was parts where like you would see them positioned in one way, and then they would jump cut to another angle, and they're completely repositioned. And it's just like there was a lot of discontinuity in the editing in a lot of those kind of scenes, and I just it was very noticeable for me, and I don't tend to really notice that kind of stuff. But yeah, to wrap this up, I think the dynamic with Lanfear and Rand was just very well done. Their chemistry and stuff is really good and all that stuff. I like that. But her reaction to him channeling made no real sense to me unless it is a manipulation, which I'm going to assume it was. But just the entire way that wraps back around just doesn't really work for me. And then the entire like channeling in the bed and just like I guess exposing herself as Lanfear, I just don't understand that choice at all. So yeah, this episode was very much a mixed bag for me. I am kind of leaning on the negative opinion of this episode, but this was a mixed bag. Hopefully it kind of gets better and we either get some recognizable dynamics from the books or this stuff starts to play better because it's kind of feeling a little haphazard for me. And yeah, my great optimism I started the season with just kind of got kneecapped. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. How are you all feeling about episode 4? How are you feeling about the season so far? Are you kind of feeling, is it getting rough for you too? Is it rough right now? I don't know. Let me know about that in the comments down below. As always, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will talk to you all next time. Peace.